Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's stream. Today we have the feature filmmakers that are taking part in the Tokyo Liftoff Film Festival, and this is the Tokyo Focus Group. Welcome to our filmmakers. Thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to quickly give an introduction to who you are, your project, and what your role was, we'll loop round and find out your stories. So, should we start with you, John?
Sure. My name's John Darbonne. I'm the writer-director of Companion. It's a horror film.
Nice.
Is that all the questions? I think that's all the questions.
Well, we can find out more as we go on. So let's just do the quick introduction first. That was perfect, John. Thank you. And Mai?
Hello. So my film is Contradictions, which I've done with my fellow director, Bakusina Hanosova. It's an experimental documentary where we filmed 5 of her performances and was playing around with how do you translate live art into moving images and these questions. I'm a director and writer and editor, and I've been making films in theater for almost 10 years now. I just turned 30, so was that all? I think that was all the questions.
Fantastic. Well, we can dive a little bit more into your background there and how you switched from theatre into filmmaking. And Harbal, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Very excited to be on Liftoff Network. So my name is Harbal Singh. I'm an editor, director of a narrative documentary, Declaration of a Revolution. This is a story of the largest sustained peaceful protest, which is happening right now in India. The protest is going on for 7 months now. 550 people have died in this protest.
Oh, wow.
So this is a very emotional journey of these farmers. What are their demands? What are they doing every day at the protest? And it's a story of a David versus Goliath. So they have challenged the state. And we'll talk more about this documentary throughout this discussion. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. What an incredible piece to have as a documentary and a story to tell. So I look forward to delving into all of these stories. So just to mention, the chat room is open, and Claire, who isn't with me today, is in that chat room. So she'll be answering any questions that you may have, and we'll be passing those on to the filmmakers as well. So let's go back to you, John. John, you took part in the Berlin Liftoff Film Festival, and we also did a Directors Roundtable with you. So you're no stranger to the Liftoff Network.
Right.
So it's great to have you back here. But let's expand on what you were just saying in your introduction, and we can find out a little bit more about your story. But what was the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome in order to get your film made and to get it into the festival circuit?
I think, COVID was a problem for sure. That we got shut down. It took us over a year to shoot because of that. So those were difficult. Also, shooting in Texas is tough. I mean, it was regularly over 100 degrees the whole time we were shooting, and we were on a small budget, so it was difficult there wasn't many of us out there, so it was tough that way. Having to come back from COVID a year later with our actors was really interesting, because one of them lost almost 100 pounds. He just went on some crazy diet. So that was different, trying to match their hair, everything like that. So, shooting a movie over a year is not easy if you're trying for continuity.
I remember you telling us in that roundtable as well about the different, how the actors had changed and the facial hair and everything else that you had to face.
Yeah. Yeah, it was different.
And shooting in that hot climate all the time as well must have been exhausting, and you must have spent a huge budget on water.
We drank our water budget within 3 days for a 20-day shoot. So that was interesting.
So you just mentioned that it's a 20-day shoot for a feature film, which is pretty impressive as well. But that was over time, considering it took you a year. But 20 days in total is very impressive.
Yeah, we had we really shot about probably 18 days were principal, and then we somewhere between 20 and 22. I'm not exactly sure where it landed, but like pickup shots, since there were more intricate kind of horror elements or like just small shots that needed to be in that I didn't want to keep the entire crew around for. So we went back and grabbed those for times.
Yeah, nice. So apart from battling the heat and battling people changing the way that they look, were there any other struggles that you faced?
It's just weather in general. I mean, it rained. We had Texas get some really wicked storms out of the blue, and I had an actor that had to leave. He was starting at a theater, and we had 3 hours to get him to his plane. And it was our climax scene, and it just started raining on us. So we had to shoot in the rain. But that ended up being really cool in the movie. We didn't plan it that way, but it's sort of a moment, and it's kind of got this, it's just sort of interesting the way that it worked out. It just started raining on us, and we just had to keep going in order to get him out of there.
And it is exactly what you just said, like something that is unpredicted can turn out for the better. So
yeah,
I'm glad that you just went ahead with it and just like, no, we are going to shoot this right now.
Right. Yeah, we weren't coming back. We knew that, so we had to do it. But, yeah, it worked out good. It worked out good for that day.
Great. Okay. Let's find out a little bit more from Maj. So, Maj, let's ask you the same question. What were the biggest hurdles that you had to overcome whilst shooting your production?
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny because it was originally, the working title was Test of Endurance. And I don't know, like, because it was like a mix of performance art in the beginning and film, I kind of felt like I had to go through some sort of endurance, like I had to feel it on my body. So everything for the first 2 years was like a hurdle. I think we just complicated everything, me and Bakusina, who I did the film with. So really, I think it was a mind struggle that was a bit of the hurdle, like to sometimes let things go. And yeah, I don't know. It's been a long process. It took 4 years to make the film. So I'm just kind of only now coming out. But I think honestly the biggest hurdle was some like letting go of me, like, and Bakusina also, because we were friends. So it's kind of, when you're doing it with a friend, there's a lot of blah 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 stuff that has nothing to do with the film, and that can get confusing actually. And at the end, I think we both learned to be more like, okay, this is the product that we need to finish, and then maybe there are all these emotions regarding hundreds of things, but that's like another email, or that's another talk, or that's, something else. So yeah, I think that was the biggest hurdle, which was a big one. Yeah,
absolutely. You mentioned something there about stumbling over or making huge learning curves as you were going along, and something that we see quite often here, and I find it with myself as well. I come up with these ideas and I want to make these films, and then I start thinking about it and realistically how much work this is going to take, or not quite knowing how to approach it. So then that idea kind of fizzles out and it becomes nothing. And we see this over and over again, and that's why the majority of filmmakers make 1 or 2 films and then that's it. So it's really great that you've managed to push through all of these struggles and come out with a feature film. So yeah, really well done to you for that.
Thank you, yeah. And to Bakusina, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Harbal, I guess let's stick with the same question. What were the biggest hurdles that you had to overcome in order to get this documentary made? But also an added question to that is, how did you find the subjects that you wanted to interview for your documentary?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a loaded question, so let me try to answer it in the time allotted to me. So little background, I run a nonprofit organization. I teach kids filmmaking, and I always tell kids filmmaking set is the best place to learn problem solving, because anything which can go wrong in the world, go wrongs on a set. So when we talk about hurdles or challenges, I think the biggest challenge for us was like, I'm not a full-time filmmaker. I have a full-time job. So during the day, I work in the corporate world, and most of my collaborators in this film, my writer, narrator, music director, and we had an illustrator, graphic designer. Everybody had full-time jobs. So that was challenge number one. So how do you balance your time? And we did this documentary in 6 months, working in evening or on the weekend. So I think that was challenge one. And on top of that, all these collaborators were remote. So nobody was okay. So he's saying hi to me. Hi. So everybody was in a different location, from Canada to New York to India, because the protest was happening in India. Our cinematographer doing shooting there, the footage comes to us. Then this footage was in our native language, Punjabi or Hindi. You need to transcribe it in English. Then you need to make sure you carve out a story out of that. So I won't say it was a fun to tackle these challenges, but if we have to say, it was the teams which are not co-located, protest happening in India, and COVID on top of that. So any curveballs which filmmaking can throw at you, I think it was thrown at us during this process. But labor of love. I always say filmmaking is labor of love. So it was very fulfilling to. Because this documentary is now voice of farmers, so what they're protesting. So it's a very objective view of what their asks are and where they're going from here.
You said something right at the beginning of that about your whole team and the cast being having other full-time jobs, meaning that it was a lot of pressure putting extra time into getting this documentary made. And I think that's something that lots of filmmakers within this indie world relate to. And again, it just goes to show, if you have that time, have the passion, you can create awesome work. So it's great to also hear that you teach filmmaking to children as well. How did you get into that?
Yeah, Nishkam.tv is our nonprofit organization where we teach kids film and TV production. And the reason I believe the kids are the best storytellers, because they're not corrupted by the world like us, maybe. And they have the real voice. If you can tap into the talent, what you need to do, you need to teach them tools of a filmmaking, because a filmmaking needs there's a technique to that. There's a storytelling technique. You need to make sure you connect your audience. So those are the things I teach. Rest, they bring their own, which is they bring their own stories. And some of my students' films they make short films, have gone to some film festivals. And for me, my proudest moment is when the kids walk on the red carpet. So that's so fulfilling.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important to allow children to have this creative output with the way that social media is, and children at a young age getting addicted to video games. Their imaginations aren't as well developed, well, I would say, as those that grew up in the 80s, 90s, or even earlier. So it's amazing to hear that you're really providing a platform for them.
Oh, thank you. I think everybody is a storyteller. I think any post you put it on a social media is a story. Eventually, that's what you're telling. And I think, and I'm going to go a little philosophical here, which is, I believe filmmakers have a big responsibility. They can make some changes, one film at a time, in the society. And our society has few challenges, I will say, few. I think very positive on that. But I think as a filmmakers, we need to go out and tell stories which reflect our society. It's a mirror of our society, so people can understand. So, for example, I'm so glad Lift Off Network chose our film. And as a Sikh filmmaker, I think if somebody, through my films, if they can know what is happening in India with a lot of farmers wearing turbans like me, why are they protesting? What are their demands? And once you start listening to them, you will realize it's a universal issue. What they're talking about is inequality. It's not a local problem of Punjab, India. I think it's a global problem about inequality, the increasing inequality between the world. So I think so filmmaking is the best platform. I love filmmaking, and I want everybody to be a filmmaker in the world.
Amazing. Let's talk about career aspirations and what your next steps are after the festival circuit, or if you're continuing the festival circuit as we speak. Let's start with you, John. What's next for you?
We're starting a movie in October, so we're developing a script right now. It's going to be about the same size as Companion. We have a larger film that we're doing next summer, so we just want to try to squeeze something in between. Trying to stay busy.
And so if it's on the same scale as Companion, is it along the same lines? Is it still in that kind of horror-esque genre, or? Yeah,
it's and it's weird. That's not really like my genre that much. I don't really watch horror films, but that in our budget range right now, that's the biggest audience we can get with them. So it's kind of a cool piece, though. It's set in the 1930s. It's still really more of a drama at heart, kind of like Companion is than a horror. So yeah.
And I was just listening in on that conversation you had before we went live about Level 33 and sales agents. Are they connected to your project in any way, or?
Well, I'm Level 33 picked up Companion, so we're going through QC with those guys right now. And I haven't pitched them this yet. I'm kind of waiting to get Companion set, but I hope they're going to be involved. But we'll see. But
that's the thing. As soon as you have a sale agent who's taking on one piece of work, then they're going to be all ears for what you're working on next. So
that's the goal.
Making that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they're a good group of guys and gals. They're really easy to work with. I think there's a lot of you have to be very careful with distributors. There's a lot of people out there that are not going to be on your side. Level 33 is really solid. They've done a phenomenal job so far.
I know quite a few filmmakers that have signed with them actually, so that was why I was quite happy when I heard that earlier. So yeah, exciting times ahead for you then.
Yes, we'll see.
And my same question, what's next for your project? Are you still on the festival circuit, and what are your career aspirations?
So I mean, actually Contradictions just won a prize in India yesterday. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And yeah, of course, we're sending it around to a lot of festivals. I mean, it's a kind of special film. It's because it plays in this performance art field. So sometimes it has a little bit of trouble of finding its right spot in festivals. But I think, yeah, it will go places. We have some places it's going to go. I mean, yeah, what's next? I'm working on a documentary that I can't tell too much about because it's a little bit of a secret. But I'm going to London to film that hopefully, this month already.
Well, but we're based just outside of London, so if you do find yourself in London, do let us know and you can come and check out the Liftoff headquarters.
Oh, that could be super cool. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Yeah, I mean, of course, I have to be in quarantine for 10 days and all these things, so it's kind of complicated. But yeah, that's
come after you've done your quarantine. Yeah, the door is always open once you're quarantined.
Okay, that's super cool. Yeah, but then I have that, and then I also just had a bit of money to film a short film that I've been wanting to do for a while. I mean, yeah, so all kinds of little projects that are actually happening, and yeah, just have to plan it. But yeah, it's going good, yeah. And Contradiction is out there and will be in little places. I mean, it was filmed in Deptford as well, or it was filmed in London. And I think also at some point it's going to be screened with Deptford Cinema, which is an amazing cinema. It's my favorite cinema.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Sorry, we've just got Bryan who's jumped on.
Yeah.
Hi, Bryan.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. So we haven't had time to test your sound at all, but I hope it come through okay. Everyone has gone through and said what their film was, what their role was, and a little bit of inspiration behind their piece, and then a hurdle that they've had to overcome while shooting. So I'm going to throw you right in here and ask you to answer those same questions. So let's start by introducing yourself and your project and what your role was.
Sure. My name is Bryan Steenerson. My project was The Adventures of Ben Keller and Christoph Schultz, and it was a film that I directed. So the film is about two soldiers from Germany that get sent to a POW camp during World War II in Minnesota. And it's a little piece of unknown history about Minnesota and the central United States, is that it was home to hundreds and hundreds of prisoner of war camps, because they figured that the best place to put all of these POWs was right in the center of the United States, where there was millions of acres of woods and nowhere for them to go if they did escape. The two soldiers in our story, it is loosely based off of a true story, attempted to escape down the Mississippi River all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. And that's kind of what the story is about. Some of the hardest things that we had to overcome was, of course, budget. And so this was our first feature film that we ever did, and the things that we did were things you're not supposed to do. So you're not supposed to do your first feature on water. And I think about 50% of our film is filmed when they attempt to canoe down the Mississippi. You're not supposed to do a period piece, and we did a World War II film.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
you're not supposed to do a film in another language. And I think the first 25% of our film is in German. So it was definitely a challenge, budgetary, and a challenge to put all of that together and figure out how we were going to do everything. But we did it, and it took about a year for us to do, but we figured it all out on how to do it. It was a great learning experience, if anything.
So how did you shoot on the river? Talk me through a bit of your process on that.
Well, part of it, we rented a boat or a pontoon, and then we would have them out in the canoe, and we would use the pontoon to film from. And then we used in some cases we used long lenses, and we would shoot from the shore while they were out in the water. But having your actors be able to remember their lines and move a canoe in the right direction is a difficult task. So some of the shots took 10 to 20 different takes before we finally got it right.
And what did you shoot on?
We shot on a Red 1 MX camera.
Which I hope was insured.
Yes, well, it was a camera that I bought a while ago, and so it was the best camera we could afford at the time, and that's what we used.
It is still a very good camera, and we see a lot of our productions be shot with a Red camera. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Red, so cool.
Yeah, it worked great. Yeah, it worked perfect for what we needed it for.
So then as you jumped on the call, we were talking about career aspirations and what is next. So I guess as we're still on you, Bryan, let's find out that, and then we'll jump back to Harbal. So what are your career aspirations and your next steps?
So for me, in production right now, we got permission from Stephen King to do a Stephen King short story. So right now, that is in pre-production, and we are casting for that at the moment.
That sounds very exciting. Are you able to tell which one of his short stories it is, or is that?
Yeah, it's called Stationary Bike.
Stationary Bike.
And it's a story. Yeah, and it's a story about isolation and a man who loses his wife and gets told by his doctor he needs to get into shape, and he starts to exercise on this stationary bike in his basement, and he starts to slowly lose his mind while riding this bike and think that people are following him and watching him, and eventually he gets transported into this other world while he's riding. So it's going to be a fun short film to film. Yeah,
I was just about to ask you, are you keeping it as a short film, or are you expanding it into a feature?
Yeah, it's going to be a short film.
Okay, cool.
Probably about 25 minutes. Yep.
Well, please let us know when it is done. That sounds like a great project that you have coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, thank you. Let's jump back to Harbal and find out a little bit more about your career aspirations and what the next steps are for you. Bryan, what we were doing in between is muting our microphones just in case there is a little bit of reverb coming through. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Oh, you already have. Thank you.
You bet.
Great. Perfect. Harbal.
Yeah, so for now, my focus is to make sure Declaration of a Revolution is watched by everybody wherever they're present, because it's a very important topic about equality, human rights, and I'm hoping through Liftoff Network we can reach out to some distributors. And the good thing is we're a nonprofit organization, so for us the main thing we want out of this film is visibility, so people can watch it. And we have been pretty blessed so far. So the film is the official selection at 13 film festivals. Yeah, and we won 2 Best Film Narrative Documentary awards. And we are very happy. Last week we are picked up by Impact Doc Film Festival, which is an Oscar qualifying for documentaries. So very excited. I think, and as a filmmaker, filmmakers are connecting to our work, and through that network, if we can take it to the audience, I think that's my very sharp focus right now. My career goals, as I told you, I'm a teacher. I'm teaching kids filmmaking, but on the side, I picked up Declaration of a Revolution. This is my first directorial debut, as they call it, and I was very passionate about this topic because, again, as I said before, filmmakers have a big responsibility to play a role to bring some change into society. And I thought this topic is pretty much up my alley. So I'm very passionate about talking about these topics. I'm trained as a narrative filmmaker though, but I was thrown a documentary. So if you get a chance, please watch it and give me your feedback. This story is done in a very narrative format. It's a very unusual documentary, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but if you watch it, I think the way I have done it, the background music, which is a Sikh hymn music, plays a very prominent role in that through a documentary. Even the way the person who is like a protagonist of this film, like she's a person who lives in America, but for us immigrants who live in America, for example, we're a diaspora, but our parents came from India. So we have a heart who's very American, but it's also there in our homeland. So how do you represent that person in a different avatar where you speak your native language and you speak English? So I have played with those abstract things in the documentary too. So again, coming back to the question, so I'm already working on my next documentary. I think that documentary has a timeline. So that documentary will be played on October 17th it's called Parliament of World Religion. So they asked us to do a
Cool. Nice.
documentary on COVID. So I'm working on the COVID documentary right now. Yeah, I'm gonna keep teaching kids, and whenever I get a chance to direct a film out of my daily schedule, till I can do full-time filmmaking, I will be keep doing it. And I'm really glad we are invited at Liftoff Roundtable, and I aspire to learn from other filmmakers and to get feedback from you guys.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you all on this call as well. And within the Members Hub, you can continue your conversations in there. There's a little live online now feature, so it pops up like a Facebook chat, so you're able to continue the conversations there, or you can just post in the group and at each other so that person gets a notification. So there's lots of opportunities to connect and stay in touch.
And if any executive studio watching our interview, hey, just give us a call or let me know. Yeah, we're interested in talking to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Just one final question for all of you. What is your favorite film? So should we start with Mai? What's your favorite film?
My favorite film is, I don't know, I'm a huge fan of Andrzej Sulawski, a Polish filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I I mean, even though as older as I get, I find it more cheesy, but I just still really, really love Possession. It's an amazing film. Yeah, that's my favorite film. Possession by Andrzej Solowski.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if you've watched it. Yeah.
I haven't actually seen it, so I will add that one to my list. Thank you for sharing that.
I think you can stream it. Like, I mean, he is dead now, so I mean, I don't know, he's not getting the money, but I think you can stream it somewhere, like, you know, for free, like on YouTube or something with Spanish subtitles. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Bryan, what's your favorite film?
It's a toss-up. I mean, you know, I watch a lot of movies like everybody. So I think at the moment, one of my favorites is would have to be The Big Lebowski. That's a movie I watch every time. I can never get sick of it, and it always makes me laugh. So.
So was that one of the films that inspired you to become a filmmaker?
I would say maybe. I very much, you know, the Coen brothers are from Minnesota too, so that's always aspiring for me that they're from my home state.
Amazing.
But, yeah,
I have to watch that film again. It's been a
I don't know if I
super
would,
long time.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it inspired me to be a filmmaker, but I do definitely love it.
All right. Cool. John, what's your favorite film?
Well, I would definitely put Big Lebowski in the top 3.
Okay, cool.
Just about any Coen Brothers films. Actually, I don't know. It's hard to answer that question. I like Blade Runner. The original Blade Runner is probably one of my top favorites.
Yeah, it's a huge hit with the Liftoff team. I mean, the co-founders absolutely love Blade Runner. We have a poster. Yeah. I think just behind here, actually, there's a Blade Runner poster.
Really? Yeah, that's probably one of my favorites. Also like with the Unbearable Lightness of Being. You know, I like a lot of European cinema as well. But I don't know. Coen Brothers is pretty solid though. That's a good answer, Bryan.
Yeah, definitely. And Harbal, yours?
So this is the toughest question anybody can ask.
I know. I'm sorry. I should have prepped you.
No, it's fine. But I always say the question needs to be reframed. You should answer which is your favorite film in each genre. I think that's what.
We'd be here all day. It would be a whole new podcast that we could create from that.
Big Lebowski will get my vote. So the one film which is my favorite, and because this question comes a lot, but the one film if I have to pick, it's The Lawrence of Arabia. I have watched that film so many times. Whenever I watch it, David Lean's I am disconnected from my world. I am just transformed there. And that's, as filmmakers, that's what we're trying to do. When you sit in an auditorium, the lights are off, you are transformed, or you are. So, Lawrence of Arabia is my all-time favorite.
Nice. Someone in the chat has just said that Fargo by the Coen brothers is in their top 5 as well. So Fargo is a great film. I think for me, it's so hard to pick just one. But Whiplash by Damien Chazelle is up there for me. It was one film that really made me sweat and like really feel the pain that the drummer's going through. So that's definitely up there in mine. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining the stream here today. Do you have any questions for each other? Now's a good opportunity to ask if you do.
I wish if the COVID is over so we can meet in person. I'm missing the old days of film festivals where you should be running from one auditorium to another and said, okay, I want to watch this thing. Those days are gone.
And then going to the bar and having a drink with the filmmakers after.
You can't beat that.
Yeah, it will happen again. And I think it will happen very soon. Fingers, toes, everything crossed. But yeah. So yeah, any other...
I agree.
Any other final thoughts?
I'm excited to see your film, Harbal. I'm gonna watch it. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. I also like horror films and stuff, but I'm right now I'm a little bit of an Indian state of mind. I don't know what that is, but yeah.
If you need any help with the Indian Film Festival, definitely let me know. And let's be in touch. I think that's the whole point. And thanks to Liftoff Networks for putting us in touch. Let's take it from here.
Yes, cool.
Exactly. And as I mentioned earlier, that group that you're all in will stay open for forever. So you can reach out to each other and continue conversations at any point. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining the call today.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
good job.
Thank you. Yes, good job. And maybe I'll come visit you.
Please do. Please let us know when you're in London and we'll set up a meeting, or you can come to the studios and check it out.
Yeah. Yes, cool. Okay. And bye-bye, dog.
Yeah, bye-bye, Boo. Nope, okay. See you guys later. Bye.
See you.
Bye.